In this work, we present Infographics Wizard for flexible infographic authoring and design exploration. Infographics Wizard implements a flexible framework for full and semi-automated infographic generation. Based on users' input in the Markdown format, Infographic Wizard generates various recommendations for different design components of the infographics, including the visual information flow, the connecting elements, and the individual visual group designs. The user can then explore these design alternatives and assemble a final infographic of their desire. Let's see how we can generate these designs using an example dataset. As we select this example, we can see its Markdown is being displayed inside a text editor, and it can be previewed using this button on the top, which shows how this Markdown would be used to create different visual group designs for the infographic. Using this content, we can generate relevant infographic designs in no time just by clicking on this Get Designs button. As we can see, we have the suggested infographic designs on this infographic panel on the right. These infographic designs are ranked based on user content, and we can explore more of these designs using these buttons at the bottom, like we see here. Pressing next, and then more of these infographic designs are populated. Just like the infographics, we can also navigate through the rankings of layouts, visual groups, as well as the connections. Now, these rankings for layouts, visual groups, and connections can be used to further filter the infographic designs. For example, if we want the designs to be just composed of this visual group, we can select this visual group on the recommendation panel, and as we can see, the infographic designs would be updated to just highlight infographics using this visual group design. These recommendations for now are only giving us an initial idea of how the infographics would eventually look. For further styling, we can also add different components to these infographics. For example, we can upload a background image using this button, and that will update all of these infographics for the suggested background. We can further enhance these designs by choosing from a range of color palettes to select the color designs for these visual groups. Carrying on with this process, we can also choose a design for the connections, and all the suggestions would now have the connections only of this design. Now, any of these generated designs can be previewed just by simply clicking on it, and can be exported as an SVG element for further editing with tools like Adobe Illustrator. Moving on to another use case of Infographics Wizard where we support design input. For example, the user can input a pivot element, and all the generated infographics would be created using that pivot element. For that same process, we load a sample input and upload a pivot element using this button onto the canvas. Then we click on Get Designs, and all the infographics now have this pivot element fixed, and the visual groups are placed around this pivot element. Also notice that Infographics Wizard automatically ranks layouts, visual groups, and connections, creating designs adhering to this positioning of the pivot element on the infographic. Now, these designs can be greatly enhanced by adding more features to it, adding the background image, exploring through different colors, exploring through different recommendation of connections and visual group designs. For the final use case discussion, Infographic Wizard also supports conditional sketching of the layout along with this pivot element as a design input. As we can see, similar to previous use cases, this generates different rankings of layouts. Now, this layout is similar to the hand-drawn layout, and similarly, the visual groups and connections are ranked along with these infographic designs to suit the layout along with the pivot positioning in this case. In this way, Infographic Wizard supports conditional design inputs along with an optional fully automated infographic generation process just with the given user content. Check out these examples of generated infographics with our tool.